Go back to Guy, top of the key. 7 on the shot clock. 9, guarded by West. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Guy driving to the hoop. Floater is good. How in the heck does Chuck Guy do that? My goodness, Thomas's jumper is blocked for 15 feet by Kathy Macklin. His second shot is blocked. That was Sports Center material right there. Left corner, first, open for a 3, and he hits it. Coleman first, a big time 3, and Tarleton on top by 2. Williams, top of the key, guarded by Guy. He loses it. He loses it at the buzzer. 3-pointer for Midwestern, no good, and Tarleton wins. At the right wing, 9 on the shot clock. Guy in the right corner, Upchurch, and he drains another 3. Put a bucket of ice on Upchurch. He's on fire. Tarleton has tied an all-time record with their 17th consecutive victory. The number 4 ranked team in the nation is now 17-0 on the year.
93.1 KSTV. It's time for the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show on the exclusive home of the defending Lone Star Conference Tournament champions. 93.1 KSTV Country. Coming up, a recap of last week's games, a review of upcoming opponents, and so much more. Now, let's send it to the lobby of Brewer Motors and join the voice of the Texans, Casey Hogan, who's alongside the 26-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Lonn Reisman.
And good afternoon from the lobby of Brunner Motors on the corner of the South Loop and Lillian Street in Stephenville. Make sure you stop by, folks. We'll be here another 30 minutes. We've got free food courtesy of Don Nico's on the South Loop, refreshments, and Tarleton athletic giveaways later in the half hour. The Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show is sponsored by Brunner Motors, so we thank them for their support in making the show possible. Coach, good morning. Hope you enjoyed the 6-day break.
Yes, Casey's been kind of different, not playing on Wednesday night, of course.
Good or bad? We talked about it. Was it good or bad after the game? Did it?
Well, we always try to make it as positive as we can. Most of the schools did not play this week during this time, so we just kind of really focused on some areas that we needed to concentrate on, and hopefully it makes us better as the year progresses into February.
Let's get things kicked off by recapping the one game on the schedule over the past week, which was an 86-64 win over Eastern New Mexico at home on Saturday night. Coach, you came out of the gate, opened up on a 22-3 run, took a 29-point lead in the first half. How were you able to build such a big lead early?
Well, I tell you what, I thought we shot the ball off well early, Casey. We really followed our game plan early and what we wanted to do against them defensively, and you know, I thought we really executed and controlled the backboards, shot really well the first half, and really put them into a hole shooting the ball wise, and really you know, built a substantial lead at halftime. Which you know, I mean, Eastern has a very good team. There's no doubt about that. They have got some very good wins this year, and pleasantly surprised to have that type of lead at halftime.
One thing I mentioned on the broadcast at halftime, if there's one team in the conference that can come back from a 24-point deficit the way they shoot, it's Eastern New Mexico.
They have a lot of scores. There's no doubt about that, and they have a high-powered offense, and you know, we know that they have some people that can really shoot the three. They're one of the leading three-point shooting teams in the conference, and if you let them get on a roll, you're right, they can come back on you.
In the Fort Worth Star-Telegram this morning, an article in bold headlines: "Unbeaten Tarleton State motivated to improve." When you look at this game, what could you have improved?
Well, you know, I'd like to continue to play a 40-minute game. I didn't think the second half we played as well as we did in the first half. I don't know, you know, if it's something that when you build a 45-21 lead, your kids play with the same type of intensity that they need to in the second half. I thought we got a little sloppy defensively. We got out of our rhythm at times. You know, it's just it's something that we want to continue to. When we work so hard to hold somebody to 21 points at halftime, we need to go out there and make sure that we take the same type of intensity level to the game the second half that we started the game with, and we're not happy by giving 43 points up in the second half. But the kids understand that. We had a chance to look at the film and see what we did wrong the second half compared to what we did right in the first half, and I think sometimes you have to use that as a teaching tool.
Chuck Guy had his first career double-double, and he did it in a very unconventional way.
Yeah, 11 assists in a game is a lot of, you know, really dishing it out and finding the open people, and I mean, he's been doing that all year long, and I was happy for him. I mean, people think that he just scores, but he does so many other things. You look at his turnover ratio. I don't even know if he had
3.3.
Yeah, I don't even know if he had a turnover in the game the other night. One turnover in all the minutes that he played. He's had some games this year where he's had 0 turnovers in a game. And you know, to see him dish out 11 assists, Casey, you know, he takes a lot of pride in getting people the ball that are open.
Upchurch had another big night, knocked down 5 3-pointers, led the team with 23 points. But what's he doing other than scoring to help the team?
Well, I think he's improved his defense, though, and that was very big for us this year. We wanted him to really work hard defensively and get better defensively. You know, he's continually go to the backboards and rebound the basketball, and I just think he's much more comfortable this year.
Coach, this is your 17th consecutive win, which tied a school record. Folks, they won 17 in 1990, 1991, and then 2 seasons ago in 2011, 2012. What can you tell us about that 1990-91 team?
Well, that's a long time ago, Casey. That's 23 years ago.
I was 7 years old, just for the record.
Yeah, well, I remember the team. We had Mark Smith and Jim Marino, Steve Sassman, and Rodney McFadden, and we had a very good team that year. And we were going, if I remember, we were going into McMurray. That's when we were in the old TDI-AA, and we had won 17 games in a row. And we were kind of playing a legend over there. Herschel Kimbrell was the coach at McMurray at the time, and been there for many years, won a lot of games, and in fact the facility's named after him over there right now. And went up to him before the game. I was kind of young in those days. That was a long time ago. And that was the last game he was ever going to coach at that university. He was retiring. Last game, we won 17 games in a row, and they beat us that game. And I often wonder, if there was something a little higher upstairs that decided that that man deserved to win that ball game. He put his time in, many decades of coaching at McMurray, and I think it's the first time that I ever lost a game where I went over there and gave the other coach a hug, and I was proud for him that all the years that he had put in, and the dedication he put into the game of basketball as a young coach, and watching somebody of a legend like he was, and it was a little. I felt a little different about it after the game.
That's a heck of a story. Of course, Tarleton now on their third 17-game winning streak in school history. As a senior college, I want to say, some folks say, well, and Coach Wisdom, that's in the junior college years since 1961. Their third 17-game winning streak. It was an 86-64 win over Eastern New Mexico. Tarleton's now 6-0 and in first place in the Lone Star Conference, winning their 19th consecutive game at home. Now, Tarleton remained the number 4 ranked team in the nation in this week's NABC Top 25 poll. But, Coach, let's take a minute and look at the top 5 like we did last week. You've got West Liberty. They were 16-0. We'll talk about that in a minute. They're number 1. Florida Southern number 2. Metro State number 3. Tarleton at 4 and Drury at 5. Now, folks, West Liberty lost last night 89-87 at home to Notre Dame, Ohio. So, Coach, they're now 16-1. Florida Southern lost as well, the number 2 team. They lost 82-76 in overtime at Rollins, and Rollins a pretty good basketball program, correct?
Very good team.
So the top 2 teams lose. Then you've got Metro State. Metro State's in the RMAC. They play on Friday and Saturday night, so they haven't played yet. They're going to play Chadron State Friday night, Black Hill State Saturday night. Coach, would it be out of line to say that you're possibly playing for the number 1 spot in the nation on Saturday night?
Well, I think that's, it's, I told our kids that you have to stay focused every night, and these opportunities only come every so often, Casey, and every game that we play is such a meaningful game when you play to the level that they played this year, and with those 2 schools losing and us and Metro battling it out again, have a chance to possibly be the number 1 team in the nation again, and those are things that don't happen every day, and these guys have worked their way to that point, and they're playing. I keep telling them they're playing for a lot. When you work hard and you play so hard, and you get to the time of February, you play to get to February, so February is a meaningful month for you. And February is going to be a very big month for us because we put ourselves in such a good position to make it such a, the games are going to mean everything, not just nationally, but regionally, but in conference-wise. So, they're taking the pressure to the floor every night.
We'll take a quick break. When we return, the reigning Lone Star Conference Defensive Player of the Week will join the broadcast when the Coach Lonn Reisman radio show continues right after this. Time now for our Texan Player Spotlight. As we do each week, I'll ask our live audience to please welcome the reigning Lone Star Conference Defensive Player of the Week, Devin Carter, to the broadcast. Devin, how are you, sir?
Fine.
Good to see you. Did you get some Don Nicos yet?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, good stuff. Devin, let's talk a little bit about you're the Lone Star Conference Defensive Player of the Week this week. It's the second time you've won that award this season. What does that mean to you?
It's an honor. I honestly was surprised both times, but the game spoke for itself, and I believe they chose the right person, so I'm just going to take it and run with it.
Hey, I read in the Star Telegram this morning you were quoted saying that your goal is to be the Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Talk about that.
Yes, John got it last year, and as our defense is, I believe we should stay here. So I'm just gonna pick up my defense, do the best I can in that role, and just try to get that and bring it home.
Now, we talk a lot about defense. You're a great defensive player, but one of my favorite things about Devin Carter is those dunks that he puts up. They're unbelievable. And I want to play an audio clip of my favorite Devin Carter dunk that happened at West Texas A&M. Here we go.
Antoine Ball has it stolen away by Carter, who will go coast to coast with a huge dunk. Oh my goodness, a windmill dunk. And Devin Carter's just showing off there.
And Devin, were you showing off there at West Texas A&M? I mean, you're wide open there to the basket. Run us through that.
We watched a lot of film on him, and that's all he does. He's a wonderful dunker. He's very athletic, and Coach Chris told me he was he was like the most athletic.
Antoine Ball.
Yeah, Antoine Ball. He was the most athletic in our conference, and I took that as a challenge, and I just went with it into the game. And I just made sure that I just made a statement. And then I had a clip of him doing the windmill dunk there, and I was like, well, I can do it too.
That's a great story. I didn't know that, and I did see that on the scouting report that Coach Chris said Antoine Ball, the most athletic player in the conference. And after the game, I said, well, the most athletic player in this game was Devin Carter. He had 12 points and 12 rebounds. Let's talk about that scouting report. How much do you study that heading into the game?
The scouting report, the coaches put so much time and effort into it, and then we go to, we watch the film over it the night before, we get quizzed over it. We make sure we know everything that there is to know about the team. And I go over the night before, I go over before we go on the film, and I go over some before the game, depending on if it's something I specifically need to know.
What means more to you, or what feels better, a commanding dunk or a big block?
I don't block too many shots, so I'd say a commanding dunk.
Now, how does this team pull off so many alley-oops? If you watch Tarleton, it seems like 4 or 5 times a game, a backdoor cut leads to an alley-oop. Don't teams know that's coming?
They have to, but I have no idea how they're going to stop it. I'm very athletic, and me and Chuck would just make that eye contact, and if they stepped up too high, their lob's always going to be there.
Now, Chuck can come from the back door and dunk it off an alley-oop too,
yeah,
can
he can.
What do you learn from Coach Reisman? This is your 3rd season at Tarleton. What have you learned from him?
Everything. There's nothing specifically I can say, because coming here, I was like a blank page, and he just taught me everything that I know. Offense, defense, my IQ's gotten better. Everything I know about the game just comes from him.
Now, you also compete in the high jump for the Tarleton track and field team.
Yes.
What's the competition like in that event?
It's very strict. It's me and another player from Angelo. We're real close. He was #1 in the conference. I was #2 last year. He went to nationals. I went to nationals. It was just head to head with that, and he's better at it. I give him that. He's been doing it for longer,
yeah.
And but I'm trying to learn from him, and that's just somebody I'm trying to surpass.
Are you at a little disadvantage though, because you're in basketball season and you got to make that transition? This guy from Angelo, he's not playing basketball, is he?
No.
So is that a little bit of a disadvantage?
Yeah, he's doing indoor, and then he does outdoor, and he has so much time to prepare, and he goes through all these practices, and I'm just coming from basketball straight to it. So.
Finish this sentence for me. This season will be considered a success if your team achieves what goal?
National championship.
That's it. And we're going to do what we call our quick fire round. And we tried it last week with Coleman first. I think it worked pretty well, so we'll do it again. I'm going to say a name or a subject. You just give me a few words or up to 1 sentence response. You ready?
Yep.
Wisdom Jim.
Heaven on earth.
Chuck Guy.
MVP.
Favorite food?
Spaghetti.
Devin Carter studied for this, by the way. Texas A&M Commerce.
Best transition team.
17-game winning streak.
Unbelievable.
Chris Reisman.
Very motivated.
Tarleton fans.
The best.
Duncanville, Texas.
Home sweet home.
I'm from Arlington, by the way, so we're just down the road.
Yeah.
Down the road from each other. Best player in the Lone Star Conference not on your team?
Kenny Williams.
Kenny Williams from Angelo State. Your major?
Kinesiology.
Career goal, non-basketball related career goal.
I'll try to be a personal trainer then.
Try to be a personal trainer. You want to coach maybe? Or?
Yeah, I'd go want to coach.
Okay, coaching. DeAndre Upchurch?
Lights out from 3.
In that saying that every time y'all finish practice or in a game you say team, family, believe, what does that mean?
That's our motto. That's what we live by, and that's what we go in every practice, every game, after everything. That's what we say.
Folks, the reigning Lone Star Conference Defensive Player of the Week, Devin Carter. Devin, thanks for your time. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Appreciate it. We return in 1 minute. Coach Reisman will be joining the broadcast here on the Tarleton Athletic KSTV Radio Network. And welcome back to the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show, live from the lobby of Brunner Motors in Stephenville. Don Nico's providing our food. Don Nico's on the South Loop, lunch specials every day. Go and see him. We appreciate their support of the show, and you still have plenty of time to come on out if you're listening here at Bruner Motors from the corner of South Loop and Lillian in Stephenville. Coach, let's go over the scores from the last week in the conference. We start on Saturday. Angelo State goes to Lonn and wins 88-75. That's not a lot of folks go in there and win by 13.
No, and that just showed you the caliber of Angelo State's team, because Cameron is very good, and they have been very good at home. I think they snapped their home winning streak there, and we realize how good Angelo is, but Cameron is, again, a very competitive team.
Commerce defeats West Texas A&M 93-84. We'll talk about them shortly. Midwestern State over Kingsville in Wichita Falls 83-62. Then there was one game on Wednesday night, and that South Dakota Mines fell to West Texas A&M in Canyon 70-60. And then last night, Mines goes over to Portales. They lose 86-72. They have to have the toughest travel schedule I've ever seen.
They must have. I mean, they've been all over the place, and of course they're just become Division II, so people, they're having to play so many in-region and Division II games, and I was impressed with them when we saw them, Casey. They have
very well coached.
Their kids are very well coached, and their kids play very hard.
Yeah, and I'd love to be on that team or the broadcaster for that team, so you'd have a lot of frequent flyer miles. I think that's like the third. I think it's like the third trip they made to Texas. The standings in the conference look like this. Your Tarleton Texans at 6-0. They have a 2-game lead in first place in the conference. There's a 2-way tie at 4-2 for second place between Angelo State and Midwestern State. A 2-way tie for fourth place, Eastern New Mexico and Cameron, each with 3 wins and 3 losses. You've got Texas A&M Commerce, all alone in 6th place at 2-4. Then in the bottom of the conference, West Texas A&M at 1-5 and Kingsville at 1-5. Coach, let's preview the 2 games on the schedule this week for the number 4 ranked Texans. It starts with a 7 o'clock game Saturday night against 13-5 Texas A&M Commerce. They started 8-0, and you told me on Saturday this is the best Lions team since at least 2005.
I think it is, Casey. I mean, they are very explosive. They're the second leading team in the conference, almost averaging 83 points a game. They really shoot the 3 well. They're almost at 36%, so they're shooting it well. They're a very good free throw shooting team at 73%, and they're out rebounding their opponents. When you put some of those statistical things together, you can see why they've won 13 games and lost 5. And I think this is one of Sammy's best teams. They've really got a 5 player this year that I feel like's really made them better than Christian McCauley. And he almost is averaging. He averages right at 10 points, 9.4. He's averaging almost 7.5 boards a game and 49 blocks, leading the conference. And they've got some good firepower. They shoot the 3 well, almost making what, 8 a game or
7.7.
And so this is they have a great transition game. They get it up and down the floor. This is a very, very dangerous team. This is a team that we have to really concentrate on playing one of our better defensive games and controlling the backboards. Can't give this team a lot of second shots, because if you do, you're going to get beat. I look for this to be a war between us two, and they come in here beating West Texas, which is no easy challenge, and I look for just a very, very tough game tomorrow night against Texas A&M Commerce.
Sam Walker and yourself, now the 2 winningest active head coaches in the conference. What makes Sam such a good coach?
Well, I think he had a good mentor in Paul Peak. Paul was a great coach in this league, and known him for a long time, and he took that program over after Paul retired, and I think he's just picked up where Paul left off. He does a good job of recruiting, and Sammy has a good feel for the game, and he's got a good philosophy that he's been under all these years, learning the game, and he does a great job.
Well, we know this. Texas A&M Commerce is 9-0 when they score over 90 points. What do you want to try to keep them in on Saturday?
Well, we know right now we'd like to keep them in the 60s, and that's our goal. Every time they've played in the 60s this year, they're 1-2. They've won 1 game and lost 2, and you can see there's only been in the 60s 3 times all year long, and it's very important for us to play our best defensive game, keep them in the 60s, and if we do, I think we'll have a chance to win the game.
And it doesn't look like on the stats they have one player that you can really key on. 3 guys in the starting 5 averaging over 12 per game.
Well, he plays 10 or 11 people, and again, we've talked about that. That's hard to key on somebody, but I mean, they've got some outstanding kids. There's no doubt about that. We got Don Carnegie, and I mean, he's averaging 14 points a game. He's a great mismatch. He's a 4, which is really into a 3 body and can shoot the ball. And their guards are explosive. They come off the bench with good size. It's going to be an exciting game for our fans, and it's going to be a very tough ball game. And I know both teams are really ready to play this game.
With a win on Saturday, your team would set a new school record in the senior college era with its 18th consecutive win. Is that something you talk up to the guys, or you don't mention?
Well, I don't think I have to mention it very much because they know what's going on right now. I think, I told somebody the other day, that it's hard to put into words when you're 17-0. I've been in this 26 years. I've been 17-1 or 16-1, but I haven't ever had a team this late in the season that was 17-0. And I think our kids understand there's a little pressure to that. I mean, there's a lot of people that are aiming to break that streak, and somebody wants to be the first one to do it. And our kids are working hard not to let that happen. And when you're 17-0, Casey, the hardest thing to do is go to practice and decide what you need to do to get better. And that's what we've been constantly doing. I don't want to be complacent, because the only place you can go when you're 17-0 is backwards. And we're always trying to strive to get better. And so we try to even use some of our wins as possible losses. And how do we get better? And look at film and knowing that we don't want our kids to become complacent. We want them to continue to learn and understand that we have to get better as a basketball team. And so, but yeah, there's no doubt that you feel the pressure when you're 17-0. I'd sit here and be lying if I feel it. I mean, it's a big responsibility, and it's you work hard, and you do to get to this point. It's you work for this, and we don't want to let it go. But it's tough every night out.
Yeah, it's ironically my final question for the broadcast. I'll have to ask a new one now. Was with every win, more pressure or less pressure? And I think you answered that. More pressure.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I told them we're playing for a lot of things. We're playing for national recognition. We're playing for regional recognition, because right now, we'd like to host the NCAA regional here now. Is that a possibility? Right now it's the farthest thing that I'm thinking about, but I'm looking at Metro. I don't want to go back to Colorado if I don't have to. And, we'd like to host that. We'd like to win our conference. We put ourselves in position to do some big things. But we also understand that can disappear pretty quickly if you're not careful. And you've got to be ready to play every night.
It's the Texans and Lions at 7 o'clock on Saturday night from Wisdom Gym. Then on Wednesday night, Tarleton caps off a 3-game homestand with an 8 o'clock matchup against arch rival Midwestern State. We don't have a lot of time to talk Midwestern, but we're going to know this. After defeating them at home on January 15th, they're going to come in here fired up, wanting to return the favor.
It's a big rivalry. There won't be a seat left in Wisdom Gym. And I think that's been a key to our success this year. And if you looked at the size of the crowds that we've been having in the gym, they've given these kids a lot of motivation. They've supported this team tremendously. And sometimes you think 17-0 is just good for our team. I think our fans are even getting a little nervous at being 17-0, and they know how much it means to them. And you have to understand how much they mean to giving our kids the motivation and the support that they've been giving us all year, and packing the gym every night to make that next step to be 18-0.
Yeah, it's almost like the Angelo State game when we got down big at home. You look back at the crowd and people were just, shocked. Yep. They weren't even talking. They're just not used to it.
Well, and when we come back and they're there to support us and get us going, and we need them to do that.
The Mustangs are 12-6 on the year, 4-2 in the conference. They've only played 2 games since you beat them in Wichita Falls, but they're getting a big piece back in Jamichael Rivers.
And he's a big piece. He's a good guard. He really shoots the 3 real well, and he didn't play last year. And the year before that, he hurt us at times. And so, that just makes them a little bit, gives them more depth and gives them another shooter. And it just tells you how tough this conference is as we go down the stretch run.
It's Tarleton and Midwestern State Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Like Coach Reisman said, get there early. There will not be an empty seat in the house, because Midwestern will probably bring 500 to 1,000 from Wichita Falls. So
a lot of people.
Be a big crowd. And Tarleton Midwestern Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Let's take our final break. When we return in 1 minute, Coach and I will wrap up this 4th edition of the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show on the Tarleton Athletic KSTV Radio Network. Welcome back to the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show. I'm your host, Casey Hogan, alongside the 26-year head coach of the Texans, Lonn Reisman. And as we do each week, to thank our live audience here at Bruner Motors, Terry Hardcastle has that rolling. They're going to roll the dice again, Coach. What's the rules on that?
Well,
remind folks.
Don't skid it. You got it. It's got to turn over.
And tell him if the mayor gets picked, he can't skid it. So let's make sure no one can skid it. You got to roll it. And if you roll it, you can either get a T-shirt, you can get a hat, you can win an oil change, you can win a car wash, or you can hit the grand prize. And what the grand prize is, you'll come back for a roll-off right before the conference tournament to roll off with all the other grand prize winners for a travel package to Allen, Texas in the Lone Star Conference tournament. Here we go. First winner is Jerry Thornton. Come on, Jerry. Jerry. Don't skid it, Jerry.
There you go, Jerry. Here we go. Roll, buddy.
Jerry Thornton's going to roll the dice. There we go.
What do you get?
Gets a T-shirt.
He gets a T-shirt.
Congratulations to Jerry. Appreciate his support, and one of our great supporters at almost every game.
Jerry's always over there. Always there.
Kyle Hall, winner number 2. The Plowboys in the house tonight. Give Kyle a hand.
Kyle.
Appreciate the Plowboys being here, and they will make Midwestern's life
No,
Wasn't on
I
Wednesday.
thought for a minute
There
you
we
might
go.
get that grand prize.
2 T-shirts in a row. So
Come on and roll that dice a little
did
more.
Mr. Bruner put a weight on that thing?
I
this week?
don't know.
Here we go. Our last person here in the live audience to roll the dice, Betty Key. Betty, come on down. Betty, a great supporter of Tarleton Athletics, and we appreciate Betty being here. She will come roll the dice.
Betty's ready to roll that grand prize.
Roll it. Here we go.
Look at it.
Here we go.
Bounce,
Rolling it.
bounce.
Bounce, and we got 3 T-shirts.
T-shirts.
My goodness. We're going to have to get the Gaming Commission to check in on that. That's very strange there. But congratulations to our winners today. Thanks to our entire live audience. If you're listening, come out next week. You can roll the life-size dice for some great giveaways. Tarleton Athletic Announcements, the Coach Hearn radio show every Thursday at noon from the lobby of First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Papa John's Pizza and refreshments. Make sure you make it out to Coach Hearn's show on Thursday. The next broadcast of Tarleton Texan and Texan basketball Saturday night against Texas A&M Commerce. The number 19 ranked Texans tip off against the Lions at 5 o'clock, followed by the Texans and Commerce at 7 o'clock. The Andy's Tire Service pregame show starts 15 minutes before each tip-off, and you can catch all the action right here on the official home of Tarleton Athletics, KSTV, the Mighty 93. Saturdays, Dublin, Lingleville, and Glen Rose nights. So if you live in those 3 cities, bring your ID, you'll be admitted free. And also the law office of Brady L. Pendleton half-court shot now up to $2,400. So practice those half-court shots. What are the odds of hitting a half-court shot?
I don't know. They say they're over in the rec center practicing right now.
Are they? Hey, you might. I'll go over there and practice
That's
for
what they say. There are
$2,400.
people over there practicing.
Texans softball picked to finish 5th in the conference. Coach Mata's team kicks off their season in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Game 1 of the season at 1 o'clock. And that is tomorrow against Ouachita Baptist and Delta State. Coach, we surely wish them
a lot
best
of
of
luck.
luck.
Yes.
And despite winning the conference championship last year, the Tarleton baseball team picked to finish 3rd in the conference last week. Coach Cogger's team is going to travel to Houston to play in a Major League stadium. They're at Minute Maid Park on Monday. They open the season against Winona State at 10 a.m. Then on Tuesday, they play Arkansas Tech at 6 o'clock. Go to the Houston Astros website for ticket information. And, Coach, if you're a Tarleton fan, that would be a heck of an event to go see.
Yeah, I mean, the ballpark down in Houston is great. I mean, it doesn't compare to Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
It's still got a great ballpark down there.
How's A-Rod working out for you?
I don't want to talk about it.
I want to thank Don Nikos for providing today's food. As always, we appreciate our engineer to my left, the one and the only Mr. Justin McClure. Tip your hat. Brad Heitman back at the studio for producing the broadcast. A big thank you to Dwayne, Greg Bruner, and the entire Bruner family for sponsoring the Coach Lonn Reisman radio show. And Coach took the final question from me earlier, so we'll just cap it off with this, Coach. If you're a Tarleton fan, these 2 teams, it's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a great weekend coming up with them and Commerce, and then when Midwestern coming in. I know that Coach Chris has worked very, very hard. He's down there right now breaking film down, getting ready to take our guys through a tremendous walkthrough today. And we'll put everything into our practice today, and I know that he has us ready in those areas. As you know, he's pretty much of a perfectionist, Casey. And I know our kids will react to it, and our coaching staff is going to work real hard to take this one game at a time and see if we can win another one on Saturday night.
Coach, appreciate your time as always. Best of luck.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this 4th edition of the Coach Lonn Reisman radio show for the 26-year head coach of the Texans. I'm Casey Hogan saying so long, everyone, from Bruner Motors in Stephenville. Until next time, have a great Friday. Go out and play golf. The weather's beautiful, and we'll talk to you tomorrow from Wisdom Gym.